getting the regulars now. I just had another 2 or 3 people sign up, so it must be just maybe the time slot is not ideal for people, which is possible. So welcome everyone
As
to
I
another.
jam like food into my mouth. So yes.
Yeah,
But
that's right.
over here, it's the school pickup time.
Right. Yeah, we can try some other times. It was always just like you're never going to find the perfect time slot, but we could try some others and see if it works better for people. But we in our little pre-discussion there, we were just talking about laser pointers, and it's a real soapbox topic for Lisa. Um, can you recap for us? What is your hatred of laser pointers?
All right. I know I'm in a minority because not many people still run a hybrid conference. We still do, and we live stream and record, and because we are medical, they love a laser pointer. And so since 2022, it's been my mission to basically rugby tackle anyone that uses a laser pointer. And we were basically just having a discussion that it's trying to, especially if you're moving every year, trying to, give that information to the different venues each time. And I think each year it's getting better. But I think we were talking about, trying like I'm sure everyone knows about, I can't remember what it's called. It's like control something when you're a presenter, and then the mouse basically becomes a laser pointer, which looks super cool, better than any laser pointer. But then we're trying to promote to speakers that, you use the mouse because then you're still facing the audience. Whereas when you use a laser pointer, you're going to turn your back and not be facing the audience. And using a laser pointer that won't show up on recordings. I get too many complaints from people live streaming. But I didn't, Grant, you talking about it not turning up on LEDs. I don't think we've used any LED screens.
No, right. Yeah. I mean, they're popping up more like newer buildings, and then if any venues are replacing projectors, they'll be seriously considering putting LED walls in now. So we see them pop up more and more, and it is cool because they're so much brighter. They're really sharp. Them being brighter means that in some of these ballrooms that you can have all the windows open. Often we're closing all the curtains and windows down because you can't see the projectors, particularly for medical events where there's medical imagery that is detailed. You want to get it nice and dark in the room, whereas now with these LED walls you're able to have it nice and bright. And we just did one at the beach, and we purposely brought in LED walls for it because it meant that we could keep, we were facing the ocean, and we just thought, this is ridiculous. We're going to close these curtains. You're going to lose this beautiful view. And now we just brought these big LED walls in. It was awesome. Kept the windows open, and the curtains open. It was great. But yeah, as soon as you put a laser pointer on it, it disappears. You can't see it at all. Goes straight through it.
Because then they'd have to use the mouse.
Exactly.
But
well, it's other places.
Event photography shows up with the LED walls.
Yeah, have we seen photos? We actually got a photographer in purposely because we wanted it to be, we wanted to sort of showcase what you can do with having a bright background like the ocean, and having LED walls in front. It's always the contrast of it. So the brightness is the key, that getting the brightness right on the LED wall. These LED walls are designed often to be outside, right? So they're way brighter than you want them to be inside. And so we were running at about 5% brightness, and it was still really bright. And so when it comes to photography, ideally you're spending, if you have a photographer that can handle it, they can do some HDR, high dynamic range shooting, and so they can often take a couple of shots if they need to really bring the screen out. But I think the general shots that we got, Dior, they looked all right, didn't they? The further back you go.
Yeah, I had a glance at a few of them. I'm waiting to see the rest of them after the photographer does his magic and finishes doing the colouring. But yeah,
could do it. I just know when I've been on site and I've just been like taking a photo and I'm like, oh, that looks a bit like it doesn't look as clear. But yeah.
What venues do we know now, Dior? Is it the W in
Yeah,
Brisbane?
I think all the W's it must be getting close. It's definitely Brisbane, Melbourne, the Sofitel in Melbourne. One of my favourites, RACV on the 17th floor, beg my pardon, in Melbourne as well. It's like a glass box up on the top of the building there. And they've got this gorgeous big screen, and it's high resolution, and for all the reasons you just said, it just looks amazing. Prior to that, it was always difficult to try and get a decent image, and of course you have to drop all those sun blinds immediately, so the sun goes from one side of the building to the other. So, but yeah, they're starting to pop up everywhere.
The wine centre, wine centre in Adelaide. Yeah, that's
right.
all lead walls as well. So, yeah, there's a few of them around. So you'll be happy. They'll try to use the laser pointer and it won't work. In some of these events too, we have like parents' rooms that we have as overflow. So even if we're not doing a truly hybrid event, sometimes we do have other rooms. We've got an event coming up soon where we're doing a low sensory room, which I think will start to increase a bit more. I think we'll see that a little bit more, so that the screens are a little not as bright, the sound is not as loud, the lights in the room are dull, are low, and so the people that have sensitivity in those areas are still able to contribute and be part of it, and so to your point, if they were using a laser pointer, they wouldn't see that even in another room. So yeah,
I know that that's something that we're starting to get requests for, and is something that we're asking in our submissions process, is whether our presenters have sensory requirements for when presenting. Right. So an example that I'll give is one of our longtime presenters has had a health challenge, and she's actually gone from being normal vision to she's completely vision impaired. And so this was her first conference presenting vision impaired, and there's so many things that you don't think about, like lighting and the screen that just I'm interested to see where this is going to keep going. And how venues are actually going to help us achieve this.
Yeah, and I think that's what it is, Sarah. It's like the venues that are hosting us. I mean, we try and make everything perfect for our delegates. But yeah, I think, did I mention this about? I think it was last year it was an accessibility session, and one of our speakers was in a wheelchair. And I said to the venue, I said, okay, do you have ramps? Because obviously they need to get onto the stage with a ramp. No, we don't, but we have a lift. One of those like lift things. That's right. I said, okay, but
do we have 4 hours to use that?
And I'm like, okay, but who has to make them go up on the lift? And they said, oh, yeah, so someone outside will have to do that. I'm like, but this is all about breaking down barriers and making things more accessible. So you're saying that this is what our speaker was going to speak about, that she needs an able-bodied person. Anyway, they were saying, at the one stage they were saying it was going to cost me extra amount to hire.
When they do that around,
hire a ramp instead of what they had, this lift. And I said, I really think you need to look at your accessibility. Because you're hosting a venue, you want to be an international venue with accessibility. Nice. Yeah, I didn't get a bill for my ramp. So
well done. Well done.
But I think it is sometimes, Sarah, like I'm with you, like, we're being hosted by these venues. They should also have a bit of responsibility for making it more accessible.
Agreed. Yeah.
Subtitles can run automatically through PowerPoint. If you have 365, and is quite good, like is not perfect, but that is definitely something that we get. And I had to pay extra because they didn't have enough licenses to run enough, and enough for the computers. And I was like, this is like your main being like a convention center. A large proportion of your business is associations.
That does seem strange,
start.
Sarah. You're renting the laptop, but it's not licensed to run the standard software that's used for, is it fair to say 99% of the events we all operate? That doesn't seem right.
And I mean, I don't run a huge amount of streams. I think I had 6, 7.
Right.
They didn't have enough licenses. Yeah. I mean, it's certainly a pushback on that. And that part of that is that they get away with it all the time, in that they have 5-year-old computers that they're giving you. So they've got the same license that they got with the computer, which is the old version of PowerPoint. And they're just hoping that every speaker that comes is also using an old version of PowerPoint. But actually, it should be a requirement that you're paying decent money for these things, and so it should have the latest software on it. There's a couple of things on that. There's subtitles I said before about offering bespoke solutions and iPads and things that means that people could view it in the way that they want to view it. When we do live streams of some larger events, we take our lead from what Apple does on their announcements, and that's where they have a separate like a sign language feed, and so the sign language is not on the main feed all the time, but you can go to another feed and have it with the sign language. And so we do a similar thing. So we're doing 2 streams then, and that works really well because it's actually kind of targeted then to the audience. It's interesting about like vision impaired. Sarah, you probably be interested to know that one of the things that I do as well is I sound engineer for an a cappella band. And so as you do.
Ask the question, is there anything that you don't do? Again, I ask this question every couple of times.
I do really like it because it keeps me out. I'm a closet singer myself, and so I it kind of keeps me in that world of singing. And so I don't know if you've heard of them, the Idea of North, the a cappella band that been around for 20 or so years. Anyway, the point is that in a few of the concerts that we do, there are some visually impaired people that come, and they might have dogs, and it's interesting to me where in the venue people will position them. And so they position them right down the front in a front row, right off to the side. And so I think, particularly as a sound engineer, I think you're kind of sitting in the worst possible position. If you were sighted, you could argue that's a great position to sit. That's like a VIP position to sit because you're right there at the front. You can see what's going on the stage. But if you don't get to benefit from sitting there from a vision point of view, well, sound is actually not great. I'd rather sit you up in the center and towards the back, and a bit closer to where the sound would be good. And so there's all these things I think that we can think about with accessibility that is worth considering. And I think that it's always been the case that this has needed to have more attention given to it, and I'm glad that that's happening now.
I'm very spoiled as well because my content expert that I work with, well, can't use the word expert, but she's just come into the role because Lisa's had one, so I was like, I want one too. I've never had a content person before. This is the first time we've had a content person. And she is a content, like she is the profession that we are. She's also massive in the disability advocacy space, and is actually going through right now her master's.
Wow.
In disability around spaces and stuff like that. So every few weeks she comes and she doesn't push me, because that sounds like I don't want to do it. She challenges me, like, how can we do this and make this more accessible? And just even having her just at conference, she just looks at things so differently, but then as well is always willing to take that feedback on, because we have lots of people in our space that have either sensory challenges or mobility, or whether it be, you know, vision, people who are hard of hearing. That's the one that really gets me, is how many people that we have that are hard of hearing that wear hearing aids. None of them will put it on their accessibility when I ask them for it.
Wow.
I just have people turn up with hearing aids and I'm like, we've organized like hearing loops for you and no one's used it because nobody's told us.
So is that
yeah.
also because of the profession that you work for, Sarah? That
No, I literally asked one of them, why didn't you put it on your in your registration? Oh, I didn't think of it. And I'm like, well, there's so many things that we could do to kind of help you.
Was it something that you had planned or was it an afterthought? Because could you put it on the accessibility, but could you say,
Yeah,
or
we do.
if you didn't already? Yeah, you do.
Yeah,
Okay.
already do, yeah.
Of course you do.
But yeah, I would recommend getting somebody, like, again, I'm blessed. I can loan her out if you would like. I don't know if her manager would agree to that, but just the way of looking at it completely differently, and doing like we've done a whole heap of accessibility training with I can't remember the name of it, but there is an organization in Australia, and just the way that things that you just wouldn't think of. So I'd recommend doing that as well, because there's some small changes that we can make, even just to registration forms that we've started implementing. Events Air isn't great around accessibility. Last time that I spoke to Events Air about, I think it was 6 months ago. It is something, because they're working towards, the European Union is bringing in some guidelines,
Standards.
standards. So working towards WCAG, I can't remember which version it is, but really, like, that they're going to have to comply to be able to meet that, which means that we are then going to benefit, which we always do
I
when the
think
European Union
at
does stuff like that.
the recent meeting I attended with Events Air, I think Renee definitely said that was going to be a part of the new website launch, is improving the accessibility. I think it was the website and the online forms. I'm not sure if it was the app as such.
The app, they've already started doing some updates because of the way that so originally you could only have the app in portrait. You can now have it in landscape on on an iPad, or like something that is larger, which means that then people who use assistive technology will be able to use it. But in saying that, I haven't actually tested it. So I know that they've said that it's a thing. Yeah.
As we all dash for our mobile phones to test it right now. I find a couple of venues that I can think off the top of my head are embracing this, and they probably, I'd argue, place, the hidden disabilities and neurodivergent attendees and participants equally or in the same regard as they do sustainability. Like, it seems to be more and more on the radar. And I know there's some cool organizations, like the hidden disabilities, the sunflower thing that you can use at Reggio, and people start identifying. It's all very new to me in terms of, I straight away start to geek out on what can we do with beacons and other things, because I understand some of these things. People don't want to necessarily put a yellow flower on. They don't want to be singled out. They just want to make sure that there's facilities for them, right? And so then I'm thinking, so if you can get them to do it at the registration phase and then use beacons that flag to us that, there's a participant in the room that has a certain requirement, dim the lights, or let's lower the sound down, whatever it is that you need to do. But so I'm buoyed by the fact that the venues are definitely taking it on board. And I'm excited. I know the Cairns Convention Centre is one example in my local here. I've embraced that. And so that's pretty cool. But it is a difficult egg to crack because you've got to strike the balance, right? Because the next thing you have is you're turning sound down or you're adjusting lighting. And then, of course, like every live event, you've got someone coming to you say, hey, turn the sound up. I can't hear anything. So trying to juggle that purely from an operational perspective. Often the solution is just having more feet on the ground, right? Because if you can catch people and chat to them and explain, actually, we've lowered the lights for these reasons and have a conversation, it just fixes it. I'm not sure there's any techie way you can do better just now, because that just works. Having people at Rego desk and a few extras.
I was going to say headphones.
Yeah.
Yeah,
absolutely.
I reckon
all
that's
those
where we're
sorts
going to
of
get
things.
to.
Yeah, because
Is that
then
everybody
people can
has
set
their
own volume if they need it to be quieter, and it will help, block out the sound. I mean, I've used them when I've been to conferences, and they've just done those little pod things. So it's so good. It's so simple.
Yeah. The scaling of those is like where it works great is, I think, where events we're talking about, they're going to do this for what's it called?
Airtime.
It's called. Thank you. Airtime.
Not AirHeads, that's his.
Not AirHeads, exactly. Which is a good idea, using the same space and having 6 different things happening, and you just dial into the channel that you want to listen to. The concept of that is good. The hearing aids thing is a shifting landscape, because for many years the hearing loop was as simple as there was a T on the hearing aid, right? For telecoil is what it stands for, telecoil, which is a coil and an induction loop. And so it receives the induction from the loop and hear the audio. And some of them you could choose to go only listening to the telecoil, or you could listen to the microphone as well in the hearing aids. So you have a mixture of it. Most modern hearing aids don't have a switch on them anymore.
No, they don't.
They often still have telecoil as an option, but often it's not enabled, or it needs to be enabled, and it's this whole rabbit warren. But most of the modern hearing aids have Bluetooth, and so a lot of, or we're seeing more and more convention centers and places are providing like a Bluetooth system.
See, that's really frustrating, because the last 2 conferences, they didn't suggest that to me. They said hearing loop.
Right.
Thank you for that information. I will put that on my brief for next year.
So the thing to watch with that, of course, is the latency that happens between that, right? So sitting in the room listening to the acoustic sound and then hearing it delayed back through the headphones can be
annoying,
headache inducing. And this is where I kind of get to this point where you don't want to exclude people from the main room or wherever they are. But hybrid works perfectly for this, right? That you're saying if you were to join the Zoom call, the live stream, or however you want to do it, you can listen on your personal device, you can see it really well, you can hear it really well, you can manage all of that. But you might find it uncomfortable to be in the same room listening to the sound that could be a couple of seconds delayed, So there's not a perfect solution at the moment. Even the headphones are okay, but see, some of those headphones don't play well with hearing aids either, right? And so some do, and the more modern hearing aids are better, and that's working better. But as soon as you go to sort of this wireless, apart from like an FM, which is what those ones are, the ones that we're using is just FM radio, which is very low latency. And so you can tend to get away with, if you still had audio coming through, sometimes you hear that they have some sound coming through the PA, a little PA, and then you have the headphones. They're generally in sync.
I think that the challenge with hearing aids as well, I mean, I know that we're focusing right on this topic, but we are an aging population, and so my one person that I spoke to this year, and I said to her, why didn't you put it on? And she's like, oh, Well, because I don't ever use a hearing loop because I just went to Costco and got my hearing aids and because they were cheaper. And so a lot of them are doing
Right.
like it's their first time hearing aid users because they're older and they don't
Yeah.
actually understand the technology either. Another one that
Mhm.
I spoke to the year before was like, "Oh, I've never used this before." And I'm like, "How long have you had hearing aids for?" Like,
Right.
so I think that that's a challenge as well around the technology is the users actually don't understand. I think that if you were a hearing aid user from the time that you were like very, very
Mhm.
young, you would be
Mhm.
adaptable. But the
Yep.
the older people get, they're not
That's
necessarily
interesting.
understanding.
That's really interesting. My assessment is that when convention centers are being refurbed, they're not putting in loops. They're not putting in
No,
hearing aid loops.
no, they're not.
And so then you can put temporary loops in. You can tape them down, and you can make it work. It's actually very basic technology, but um, it is a challenge, and you can trip over it, and you can all of that. So um, and then you're telling people that they have to sit within the loop as well, right? So
Mm.
that becomes an issue as well. Anyway, there's not an easy answer to that, I don't think, and I'm surprised that convention centers generally they're coming up with some sort of idea. It is important to say though too that I believe that modern hearing aids actually work better with PAs than they have in the past. A standard PA system in the room that they're picking up that sound better, whereas previously it really struggled with it, the type of sound that it was and the way that it came through into the hearing aid, and as well as the hearing aids were picking up everything else, every other sound in the room, whereas now they're a bit more advanced. Anyway, that was a bit of a departure from
I was thinking about the
events
headphones
there.
in terms of the kind of neurodiversity angle,
Yes.
rather than
Yeah, just turning it up and down.
So yeah,
Mhm.
just having that
Yeah.
that ability
Right.
to put it where you want it.
Mhm.
Yeah, that's very
Very.
interesting.
But you were saying about events there and the accessibility, things like screen readers and the images and things that are particularly with the registration forms, things as even as how where the tab goes as it goes down through the registration form, and
And
if
how it
that's
explains things to
intuitive,
you and
right?
why it's important to use certain labels and the order of things. There's a yeah,
Right.
the accessibility training that we did was super, super interesting. If anybody's interested, reach out and I can send you their contact details because it's actually really worthwhile. And what we have noticed is any change we are making around accessibility, we're always going to get a couple of people grumble because they don't understand the purpose, but majority of the people, it's actually benefiting them as well. Every change that we've made so far has benefited majority of our attendees.
That's great.
Right.
Do they have a New Zealand branch?
They would have to. You always have a New Zealand branch, right? There always is.
Yeah.
Or we become the Australia and New Zealand.
Yes. Yeah. Yes.
I noticed now that you're mentioning it, when I was building an app the other day, I noticed that it pops up when I was using the modern app selection, and when I chose certain colors for the primary colors and so forth, it pops up with a little warning saying avoid shades of gray to ensure accessibility, and all those little prompts.
Yeah.
It's like, that's kind of cool. That makes sense. Handy as a reminder, even more handy because of course I then selected 4 other colors and all 4 of them got the same prompt. It's like, so where to now? The client wants this color. I mean, it's just a guide, right? But
And
it's
I think
handy.
that
It's a reminder.
And I think that that's part of that accessibility training speaks about that sometimes design comes over accessibility.
Yeah.
And I mean, I know, we do a lot around accessibility and our brand guidelines are designed to be accessible and we still have members call us out. And it's like, maybe you like, we've followed guidelines. I think that you probably don't understand what it needs to be.
Yeah.
This might be a you problem. Us problem.
Hey, can we change tack? I've got a question. I wanted to put it
yes,
to the.
I was going to ask if there was any
Brains
questions.
Trust. I think I know the answer to it, but I'm going to try anyway. Has anyone arrived on a practical solution to include the title for, particularly for our esteemed speakers, you know, professor and doctor and whatnot, other than putting it into their first name field? So at the moment, the mobile app, as far as I'm aware, it still doesn't display the title.
No, it doesn't. You can add. Can you put it in the preferred name, first name? That would be my only workaround.
Yeah.
So that it doesn't then go into comms in other places. I do know that I was talking to, I think I was training a client who was really up on it, and I'm sure that it was it's in as one of the things that they are doing. Unless it was one of these chats, I can't remember. But
no, it's definitely, I think that it's on their list, as well as I requested post noms as well, suffixes.
Yeah, right.
Because that's big for doctors as well.
Yes.
Or medical.
Yeah.
That was a long shot. I thought I'd just float it by you all and see what you say.
We've just had our feedback from the conference that I did a couple of weeks ago, and lots of people were getting the update notification when they logged in. And so I actually went through the bot and used the bot, asking different levels of questions. And one of the suggestions from the bot was to actually leave it on manual or not have it on automatic update, which I was like, I thought the whole purpose was to have it on automatic. But then it said that eventually the last thing that I got is that, and I'd quite like to test this because I know that I didn't get those notifications. It said that apparently you only get that notification if you are opening the app at the time it is updating.
I don't think that's true.
Haven't heard that one before.
Yeah. So again, that's what the bot said, because I was like, why do some people get it and some people not? And that was the answer that it said. So yeah.
We've resorted to doing it manual. We just leave it off, and one of us task ourselves with whether it's, you know, let's do it again in the first thing in the morning or at the end of each day.
Yeah.
Change. I mean, it doesn't affect obviously the dynamic data, live Q&A, and all that stuff works. So that doesn't need any refreshing for that. But room changes and speaker names and some of the key stuff.
And see, it's
happening less and less for our events.
That stuff is supposed to automatically update, because I was like, well, why do we need to put it on automatic? What do we need it for?
As far as my clients are concerned, it automatically updates. You don't have to worry about it's us pressing a button, because we can't, because they just don't want the reminder.
I feel like it might be like a leftover or a hangover from way back when. I haven't put it on automatic in, oh my God, I stopped doing that pre-COVID.
Yeah, right. Okay.
Because it drove me insane.
Yeah. My recollection was they never used to display the refresh. It just hung. And so the user experience was, my app's frozen again, but it wasn't. It was just refreshing, and people got frustrated. So they just started to display that thing. That was certainly what I discussed with Centim a year or two ago when they rolled it out. But yeah.
I thought there was an update about this recently, right?
That's what I thought. Yeah.
I think that it's a known issue. I think, because I feel like I had this conversation with Renee about that, where that was one of the things that they wanted to fix. But I could be,
and that's what I thought, and that's why I was like, well, why am I getting all this feedback from? I mean, we had a really low feedback instance, and of that feedback, there were 3 or 4 people who said, out of 40 40 people who said that they were getting the alerts regularly. So, but I didn't get it whenever I went in. So yeah, it was interesting, but good to know that generally the leaving it on manual doesn't affect things.
I've just tested it now, and it's, well, I don't know. Sometimes I run the HTML version and consider that a test, but is that really a test?
No.
You really don't get much out of that, do you?
Because I reckon there's things that do act differently between the HTML and the native.
Well, I just updated the app and I never got it on the HTML version.
Yeah,
Francie,
right.
so I can confirm that. I'll
I
test the
think,
other
well,
bit.
I think they said it's when they are opening the app at the
Let me hit
time of the
refresh.
update. So not necessarily in it, but actually opening it at the time of the update. And that would kind of explain
Makes
the
sense.
randomness to it. But yeah, I don't know. Who knows?
That chat box is going to take over the world.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's very good. I found myself jumping to it from time to time, going, all right, I can find things now.
Yeah.
I don't have to wait for support to get back to me because I'm asking a dumb question.
Yeah.
Like, I know what the answer is. I just can't remember what the answer is.
Yeah.
I'll ask the chatbot, then it'll tell me.
That's very cool.
Support are like, God bless. We're not getting stupid Sarah questions.
Love it.
I just my brain went down the name thing, because I remember about an infix as well, or a affix, which for European attendees and speakers can be like van and Vande, Vanda, and all of those are technically infixes. And so you can have a prefix, an infix, and a postfix on a name.
Oh my God.
And in Slide Crew, which we were talking about before, it does support all of that. And so it only shows, if you give it those in a prefix, infix, and postfix, plus a first name and a last name, it can sort it all correctly and whatever. But so there's even more to it, which is fun. So I was going to mention about the update that there was as well, as in there was the what do they call that? Airwaves. Did people watch that? There wasn't too much to miss, really. It was talking about air. What's the event called again?
Airtime.
Thank you. It talked about airtime.
It's been airtime for 3 years now. For the first 2 years, I was calling it what they used to call it.
Rise.
This is the first year I've called it airtime.
You got it right.
I just call it the user conference.
Yeah. Then they were talking about the integrations as well. Of course, like the smart connectors. They keep adding more of those. There was this was the CEO's first one, and that James is gone, and that Renee is the product. What is it called? Vice president of product or whatever.
Vice president of product. I didn't pick up that James had gone.
James has been gone for a little while.
Oh, has he?
Yeah, March apparently.
Oh, right.
Huh.
So that that's cool. I think it's great. So I wonder if Renee will keep watching these as we can.
Hi, Renee.
I think that this is the highlight of Renee's week. To be.
Yeah, you know what? She was sitting in her office thinking, I just wonder about hearing aids. Like how do people handle hearing aids at events?
What can we do?
Maybe I can hear these guys talk about that for 20 minutes. She'll be so happy. But she did show the new website
Did
builder.
she?
Yes. Which does look pretty good. if you're into that sort of thing.
Is it similar to the prototypes that they had?
I think so. I had a quick look, but it's always like it's going to be available at the end of the year, and it's like, okay, well, my conference website's going to open December, so should I start building it? I understand that they've got product they're trying to build, but I'm kind of like, well, I could probably rush it and get it done in a week if I knew this new website was coming. Yeah, but I think this is what they were talking about, Grant. I think that it is more accessible, more accessibility in it.
Yes.
And the uplifted designs for the events, custom components will hopefully,
Yes. I'm assuming that means, it's some more control over the agenda and things like that.
And I think also you won't have to put in, like, because I always have to put in the code so that the website can be viewed via mobile. Because we found from our data, most of people visiting our website, I think 80% are using a mobile phone.
Right.
So I think we won't have to use the code anymore, because I think the new one is going to be automatically configured, which would be amazing. Yeah.
Responsive. Yep. Yeah, exactly.
And I think that's what they did to the app. I think that's the same thing that they did to the app, was to make it responsive on multiple devices.
Mm-hmm.
So it might be similar code.
Yep. Yeah, so you could run the app on an iPad or something like that, for example, and you get it a little bit different layout. Yep. But that was all really in that.
Who's going to airtime?
We are. Yep.
Yep. Okay. All of us. Yep.
I can't.
I know you will. Yeah, I know.
I want to. Maybe next year. I keep saying that. Maybe next year.
Yeah, you said that last year.
I know.
And the year before.
We'll be presenting at this year's, doing a little session. And I feel like at this rate, you guys are going to be co-presenting with me, because we'll have talked about all the things I've got to say by the time the gig gets here.
The AirHeads session.
Live.
Today's session is sponsored by AirHeads, and the team here have been online for the last 6 months with me. So I'm going to get them to talk about it.
Yeah. I think they're going to have, is it 5? I'm sure Renee is in her office going to correct me. I think they said they're going to have like 5 concurrent sessions, where they usually only have ever had the 2.
Really?
Yeah. That's probably wrong, but I'm
no,
sure
it was definitely up there, 5 or 6.
Wow.
Yeah, I know that, because I remember when it first came out, the venue, I know that venue, and I was like, hang on, if they even have their 2, how are they going to do 2 concurrents in that space? But when they've released that they're doing the headphones,
Yeah, so you should be able to walk around and tune into the one you want to listen to.
Which I think is good, because I don't know, feedback from last year was, it was good that they were going to have like, oh, this is an advanced topic, or this was a beginner. And it was all good in theory. Unfortunately, sometimes the advanced topics were not. But
not even close to being advanced.
No.
Yeah, but it would mean that you were like halfway through a session, then you'd be like, oh, I want to move. So I think this is going to be great that you can just switch your headphones.
Yeah.
To go to another session.
Oh no, they've got 4 on at the same time.
Oh, is the program available already, is it?
Oh.
Yeah. Hang on. Can I share?
I wonder. Yeah. Let me make sure.
Aren't you speaking as well, Sarah?
I am speaking, yeah.
Are you?
Yeah.
Nice. Are you singing as well?
Yes.
Can you see my screen?
Yeah, that only looks like 2.
So there's the block 1, 10:30 to 11.
Yeah, but that's only 2 concurrents. That's not 5.
Yeah. So I don't know whether, I don't know.
Maybe they're having trouble with the agenda builder like I do.
I wonder whether these 4 are happening at the same time.
I think they are.
4 are happening at the same time.
Oh, well,
so that's not one after the other.
Oh, no, that hurts my head.
That's my assumption, because they've talked about having.
Renee, can you please clarify?
Yes, you've got to build it with 4 tracks.
Yeah.
Yes.
Not 2.
If they need some code, come along to my abstract session.
I love it.
Code hacks by Sarah.
Yeah.
Come along to the
No, it was I've got a code for that, wasn't it?
Yeah, I've got a code for that.
exactly. I've got a code for that. Yes.
I'll just have like Renee sitting in the front row. Stop telling people that you can code it. No, she wouldn't do that. She's too lovely. She'd
Yeah.
sit there and
Well,
smile.
Isn't that part of it that one of the themes you can't do custom code? Isn't that the thing on one of the websites on one of
Don't
the
go breaking my heart like that.
Yeah, I think there is.
What? Do you mean
I
on
think
the
it
app?
is. No. Oh, is it the app? Is it?
I don't know.
I don't know. One of them. I caught it in the Facebook group. Someone was saying about how they were trying to add custom code and they can't to one of the templates. And I thought it was the website template, but maybe it was the app. But either way, it was one of them that was like, yes, this template doesn't allow for
Right.
custom.
No, there's still CSS in the modern app.
Right.
Modern attendee app.
Yeah, okay.
Because I've used it.
Fair enough.
Because we were having problems with viewing my agenda and although as part of this I've discovered that you can have multiple my agenda options, which I didn't know you could do.
You can have multiple my agenda options.
Yep.
That's new.
Components.
I've got a
Well,
that reminds me.
I haven't tried it, but Airbot says that you can have multiple my agenda options.
Is Airbot hallucinating?
I don't know, and I'm like trying to not get lost because I've got too much other stuff to do. I'm trying to not get lost in doing like making it just a random app to see if it works.
Why would we do that? Are we thinking
so
one
for
for
me,
functions and one for
functions and one for like breakout sessions?
Yeah.
Or one's are my itinerary with all the accommodation and travel stuff, and the other one is breakouts or workshops or so that you separate out the.
Because my brain's hurting because I'm just thinking of, so you've just split it up so an attendee can still go in and star their agenda items, but when they go to my agenda items, it won't have their accommodation, it only has the agenda. Is it?
Yeah, because in the my agenda component. That's a bit cute. Sorry. In the my agenda component, there's tick boxes as to what information. So it's the accommodation, travel, presentations, meetings.
That's new.
But then
no, it's not.
Is it not?
It's a shame it's a shame there's no filter on it, because you could imagine if you separate it. Well, if you're a delegate, don't you want it all in one spot so you know you're not overlapping in the time? It's in a timeline.
Yeah, and so that's what I've used. This is where the problems came, because we were using the modern theme, but with the modern theme, the agenda and the person. So normally, in the old version, you could have just the my agenda component, and then I just add the full agenda to everyone's, and then add the ones that they were attending into different groups. Right. And then in that my agenda component, I'd just call it agenda, and it had everything in there that was personalized. With the modern theme,
you have to have the agenda and the my agenda
and the personal one kind of combined. So we had to just, luckily you can rename it with quite a lengthy name, it turns out. I think I had functions, transfers, and breakouts or something.
That's a really good tip, Fraser, because I know because you could use it for session chairs, because I know sometimes our session chairs are also presenting and they want to know, like, I just want to know my session chairs. I don't want to be, because you could do it where you could almost have multiple my agendas, and you could have one that is just session chairs. Chairing. You could have one just as presentation. I like this. This is a good hot tip for the.
I'm going to show you the tip.
Everyone, but you need to put Grant at the start. Like, get through all the other stuff.
Get through the chat.
Or you need to put at the start a disclaimer, like we haven't yet tested this. We think we
Yeah,
can do this.
because I'm only seeing tick boxes for function, accommodation, travel, agenda, presentations, and meetings. So how does the system determine you're just the chair?
So that's what I was going to say when you were talking about using it for chair and stuff, is that so you would
Have to do some testing,
basically you would just you'd use the presentations, I'm assuming, and add that presentation to their record. But yeah, it is a little bit. You'd have to do some testing, Lisa, I think, in that. But
yeah.
these are
So
the things.
I think like it could be done because you just add it to their profile. Like I think like we set up tablets to basically be a different room for the chairs to then run. So we have to manually go in and add just the sessions for that room 201. And we just add all the sessions for room 201, favorite it for them. So you could almost, it still sounds very manual. So maybe it would be, too hard to do.
It's not too bad, because you can also obviously do a visibility thing. But what you can is you can do bulk creation of your agenda items. So you can go in and you can filter who you want to give it to, and then you can either tick everything or tick different things. So I had transfers in here and I ticked these to go into whoever needed them.
Their agenda, yeah.
And then so you have to use bulk creation and bulk cancellation. The bulk cancellation is quite hard because it feels like you're going to cancel everything, but you just basically pick the things that you're wanting to cancel to get rid of them. But yeah, it does work really well. It's just that with the modern theme, the fact that they both show up basically. So and then we had some challenges where the live Q&A didn't work in my agenda.
That's right. Only through the main agenda, right?
Only through the main agenda. And so luckily for this particular client that we were doing, they were able to they had half a dozen live Q&A sessions. And so the agenda was called live Q&A. And then everything else was in the other session.
I wonder why that is. I wonder
why. I don't know.
And because you can't access resource, like if you put any
resources,
you can't get any of that stuff. Like you just get, it basically just says like that you've starred like the name and the location. I know that was one of the feedback that we got the most that drove people insane was the My Agenda. They couldn't use the Q&A.
Yeah.
So it meant that they were going back and forward all the time.
Yeah, which if you're doing multiple concurrents, you don't want to be going back. So hopefully when we have airtime in December, they might, when they're doing 4 concurrents, it might be like, oh, okay, we get it now. Like you got 4 that you're going to have to go back and forth to.
Yeah.
Because it is like you're telling the delegate to go, like our push is to get them on the app early, get through, start starring My Agenda, so they get used to, okay, this is my agenda on day 1, this is where I am. But then, oh no, when you're in the session, you've got to go to the actual session in the agenda.
Well, and we had just one. We didn't have multiple streams. We just had one, and I don't know if it was actually said. I think the MC did say, I was like, we need to tell people to go out of that session and then back into the other session. And so in the Q&A kind of management app, I was checking the previous sessions just to make sure that no one had stayed in that session to do their live Q&A as well, because that's something else that I've seen. Actually, that was when we were doing on air. I was the virtual stuff. People would not go in and out when we had one session. They just stay on the live stream, and therefore the live Q&A would stay in there. But it's just something that is a real potential that people could be like, why my live Q&A is not working because my questions are showing up for me, but no one's doing anything. But
that would be a game changer.
I thought the live Q&A from personal agenda was fixed. I'm looking at it now and it's clearly not, but I thought that was resolved when we moved to the new one.
No.
Oh, that's going to be a fun conversation in a month or two, Grant.
Yeah.
That's not Grant's conversation to have, Dior.
That's right.
That's right. He won't be home on that day.
No, he won't. He'll be with the dog.
That's right.
Very
Hey, here's
I've
another
got-
one for you. I'm
Oh,
super interested, but if
same
it,
thing.
no, Grant, if you're going to talk dogs, do that first.
No, I'm not talking
Yep.
dogs. No.
Okay, come on.
It's enough to be full-time babysitting, and I'm trying to work.
Well, I
Wasn't
I
my
just wanted
idea.
to I just wanted to quiz the team on hosting content and the practicalities of that post event and for how long, because we're seeing the numbers dropping right off. In fact, arguably after 3 months, I don't see any value in it. People are going to watch the recordings post event on a mobile device. They're going to do it in the first month of the event that they missed whilst it's still top of mind. And then the only time that I see any activity is about 12 months down the road when they're about to go to the next event. And suddenly there's a little bit of spiking. But the next part of that is it only keeps the analytics for 3 months anyway. And so I'm scheduling manually a reminder to go in and run the report to get the data to the client. I need to tell them, yeah, that no one's really in this system. And so I was curious what people are doing around that, if they're doing anything around that to not only monitor the analytics of it.
If you're hosting on-demand recordings afterwards, back in Events Air.
We're pulling everything out of. We did it this year in Events Air, and the faff around, I think, because AV companies record all in one go, to then edit it down to get it for use, and then to put it into Events Air. We're pulling the actual putting it into Events Air, and we're going to be putting it in our on-demand library, our actual membership library, because otherwise we're monitoring multiple systems. If we put it in just our general learning hub,
Media
we'll be able
library,
to we'll have the stats forever.
Yeah, you get the analytics then.
Yeah.
Yeah, don't get me wrong. I like the idea. We've got a couple of examples of clients where if it's not the same day, it's very close to the same day where we actually top and tail the session and drop it straight in. And so the next day, particularly on those multi-day events, you're sitting in a room and it might be, a delegate decides to catch up on something they missed the day before and they can go straight to the mobile app and plop their earphones in and away they go. So I like that. And I like the fact that, they can look at it all, but I just don't see the value of this stuff anything beyond 3 months because they're just not looking at it.
We have the same deal. We basically have a sort of a blanket thing that anything we have that's available post is available for 3 months. We find that, we want them then to register for our next event that might also be an on-demand. Look, I think sometimes we'll get people that will ask us for an extension, and especially when it's the 12 concurrent sessions, well, it might be 6 of it is live recorded. It's sometimes hard to get through all that content in 3 months. So, at least when we do host it in on air, I can just change and update the dates. But yeah, I find there's not much of an appetite. And I think it was quite good. Fleur mentioned, I think at like one of the first sessions about reminding people, like we usually would just send them an EDM of like, okay, this was like some of the highlights from the conference, the recordings that are expiring soon, go check out these sessions, which have been really popular. But I think Fleur had a really good idea of actually like hosting post-event almost like a panel discussion, discussing some of the sessions and what they got out of it, and I think that's what it's to promote people, like especially if they've only purchased the recordings, you want to make sure they get the value out of it. So I was hoping to do that this year, but I think it'll probably be for a next year thing. Is definitely, just getting more people engaged in watching the recordings.
Go ahead, Grant.
There's a couple of different business models as well in there, and there is some value. I'm guessing, Sarah, what you're talking about with the library is that I get the trick a little bit is at some point does the content become available then for the whole membership access as kind of a Netflix, of like, it's just, and you can go back and watch a presentation from 5 years ago if you want to. It's there, although you may not have gone to the event. After 12 months, it becomes available, or after 3 months, it becomes available. And there's talk with a couple of associations as to whether they do have that's part of the membership or it's an additional to the membership, but it gives them access to an archive. And so then, is it only for people that registered for the event, or is it for everyone?
But then it's also the speakers. So we had to change because we found that sometimes like some of the student fundamental stuff that we're doing, we all remember, there was that really good presentation. How about we just reuse that from 2 years ago? And so we've actually changed our speaker terms and conditions that
agreement.
Basically we own that recording. We usually will still go out to them and just say, hey, just let you know we're using it. But prior to that, we actually were only authorised, I think, for a year to reuse their content. So
I've built it into. We have a speaker agreement now, or terms and conditions, and we use that for every single presenter. Pre this year, we didn't have that, so this year was the first time that, same as Lisa, we've put it in so that we own the recording, they own the IP, and that then covers us so that we can record. And do a hybrid, because before that, I don't think that we didn't have anything like that. And so the association model of then making everything available, I'm very big on that not happening. But I know for us, we have, as part of their CPD, they have to have at least 2 hours of cultural learning each year. And we have introduced having an Indigenous either like truth telling or language workshop. And what our wider prof ed team wants to do is then release that. So then that's at least giving the whole membership the opportunity to have something,
some content,
to help them get towards their what they need to be qualified.
And so are you flagging which attendees have access to what content in your library?
Yes. Yep. So the thought process at the moment is that we will probably set up within the LMS a group. So import every person that is a registered attendee, and they will get free access. And then post so many months, we will make it then available for the membership. And then non-members obviously at a fee. But that won't be everything. Like, they'll look at how to splice it and packages, and I just don't. I get that it's passive income. They can do that. That's their bread and butter. That's not mine.
Fair enough. And we used to, 10 years ago, 5, 6, 7 years ago, we would do individual presentation recordings, and so each file was just the presentation. Q&A was not recorded. Or at least not made available. During COVID, it made much more sense for us to record sessions, to have the complete session available, including the panel discussion or the Q&A that would often happen, after 4 or 5 presenters, and then a 20-minute Q&A. And we include that in the one video, and then we would chapter mark everything so that you could jump to a presentation. So you effectively have the same thing, but that you have it in context. So you could scrub back to a previous presentation as well as jump forward to the Q&A. Do you do something similar, or how do you handle that?
No, God, that'd be great. We edited each video down into each 20-minute presentation. And I think
no Q&A?
The Q&A, yes, I think that we left it in. I just wanted it done. I was just like, please just do the thing.
Just make it happen. But I guess it depends on the program, right? Because sometimes you'll do a presenter, then Q&A, presenter Q&A, presenter Q&A.
Yeah, trial doing the year that I started, the committee came up with each presentation and then combined Q&A at the end, and attendees hated it.
Yeah.
So we've gone back to presentation Q&A, presentation Q&A.
Okay.
For orals, it's a little bit different when you're doing like a panel and stuff like that, but we won't ever record them.
Gotcha.
2022 and 2023, we had it similar to what you were saying, Grant, where it was it got edited into each talk, and then we used a different provider that just did it per session, and we were wondering, we're going to get negative feedback about that. Well, the positive by just doing it as one session meant that pretty much if we were live streaming on the Friday, people were able to log in on Saturday, and all those recordings from Friday were already available. So I think people wanted that. They wanted the recordings and the content straight away. Whereas 2022 and 23, when it was sessions, obviously the recording took a lot longer to do it. And we would have to promote to people it was going to be a week post-conference that you would get all the recordings. So to be honest, we've had absolutely no one complain that it's as a session on air instead of it being all the talks. Like, I'd love it to just be all the talk. And look, we do smaller events where it's one concurrent, and we do it per session. But I guess it's when they actually want it, because it's a long time to edit. I had to edit one event this year, which is one stream, and I don't usually do it. Usually I've got a lovely AV partner that does it all, and I'm realizing now how long it takes to edit one session. Especially, I think I just need to put our speaker in lead boots because he kept moving around too much.
That's right.
I can offer one tip. We found some efficiencies in our online tech support, whether they're doing tech support with the mobile app and or Zoom remote speakers, but we made sure that person can also edit, because they're sitting around for a good chunk of the event time, waiting online wherever they might be placed. They don't have to always be on site, of course. And so that resource became two roles. They can do the editing whilst they're not fielding any questions or any tech support, for the mobile app and whatnot. And so we found that super, super efficient. We've done it both ways as well. We've seemed to be landing more and more on just record the session with Q&A all at the end. And I think, because I'm often the guy standing on stage talking to the chairs and briefing them before they go on stage. And I can see over the last few years we've been doing it this model, the sense of relief, because they've got a chance to actually review the questions coming in as each of the speakers are presenting. You might have 3 or 4 in a session. And more importantly, I don't even think I'm putting mics in the aisles anymore. Like, we're down to the point where, for the most part, all the questions are coming from the mobile app. And so now the voting the questions up becomes more and more useful. And then I put the questions on the downstage monitor and on their iPad. And so you get this nice vetted list of questions that clearly the top voted ones are at the top of the list. Inevitably, we're racing the clock. You've got 15 minutes left to try and jam in a ton of questions. There's 60 questions sitting in the mobile app. And so that plays on my mind. So I'm really relieved, Lisa. I think you said earlier how with all those recordings, you're going to come back and actually have a hosted, was it you, Sarah, have that hosted Q&A. Anything we can do to preserve the conversation, that community discussion has got to be a good thing. Everyone enjoys going to hear the data. Sorry, go ahead.
Oh, no, I was going to say, I think it was from one of our earlier AirHead sessions, and it was about what is the whole focus of getting a delegate. We want them to network and communicate. So for our main conference next year, we used to just do the session and the Q&A at the end. We've actually built in now that we're going to have a Q&A in the middle time, which can kind of almost be a good catch-up time too. We find a lot of our sessions go longer, or we find, because we do lectures and concurrent workshops, they're different times. So I think by doing this extra buffer mid-session, we'll also give delegates a chance to swap rooms. And anyway, I can report back in June once we finish that one. How the extra Q&A goes.
And coaching the chairs, because they're not always professional speakers, right? Most of the time, they're just faculty or volunteers, whatever it might be. And so the benefit of us being able to brief them is becoming obvious in the way they're managing and navigating. There's always a co-chair, one that manages the the questions actually holds the app, looks at that on the iPad, and then throws to the person standing at the lectern or on the panel seat to say, okay, we've got another question, and they can skim through them really smoothly. Oh, in fact, there's a question here that's been voted 12 times and a whole bunch more that are similar sort of nature. And so we're just getting to the crux of what appears to be, the subject matter for that audience. So I think that's working well for us, but always open to try and create more Q&A time. That's the bottom line.
There's here's a tip for you. There's some software that we've been using for a long time that is for our timer. It's called stagetimer.io. And it's really cool because it's online. You can give a chairperson, they can pull it up on their phone, or they can be outside of a room or whatever. They can see the timer as it's going. But they added a feature recently. We haven't yet used it, but we do love the concept, and it's called Time Warp. And what you can do is say, you make the timer say it's 15 minutes, but it's actually 14 minutes. And so the timer's going slightly faster. And so no one knows.
Oh, I love it.
Isn't it cool? Everyone's like, okay, that's been 15 minutes, but actually it was 14 minutes. Or you can go the other way. You can slow it down. I don't know why you'd want to do that, but you can do that.
That sounds amazing.
It's really cool. Yeah. And so you could actually kind of do everything. Could just be every speaker could be 10% shorter than they realize, because they can see the timers counting down. It's just slightly faster. So I thought that
would have helped the year when I had a symposium and the committee accepted it as an oral presentation, and she was adamant that she was doing her symposium in the 15 minutes.
Wow. Well, we've had a couple of clients. I actually really love this, but it's hardball, and that is the presentation. The PowerPoint gets closed on 0. And so, it's surprising how well it works. Like when you are there is no subjectivity in it. When the timer gets to 0, doesn't matter whether you were wrapping up or you're not, your presentation gets shut down, and people learn really quickly. And they're just like, okay, I know that it's gonna get cut off, and everyone keeps the time, but it is a bit heavy-handed.
Is this something that I don't know, during in on air they used to have like a timer, and I remember saying I wish that was something that Events Air, like, it's already built in. Why can't we then have it as an in-person one?
Yeah, right.
The only issue with the on-air one, because I must be still one of the only people I think that still use the on-air Aircast studio.
Somebody reach out and let Lisa know if you too use on-air for your.
I think I'm the only one.
She feels alone.
I love it, although it's been very glitchy lately. You've got to actually remember to not make the auto switch off.
Yeah. It kicks everyone out.
Yeah. But it is quite good. Like, it will. Yeah, exactly, Sarah. It does do the countdown. So,
perfectly. Like, I wish that was just like, could they just put that as an app?
Build it in.
Yeah.
Well, so, not to keep going on about it, Lisa, but Slide Crew also does all the timings. So because it knows all the presentations, it has the timer. The timer is actually built into the presenter view on the stage. So when you have a monitor and the presenter view's there, it automatically overlays a bar graph of the timer over the top of the presenter view. And so now the timer is on top of PowerPoint presenter view.
Yeah, awesome.
Which was really nice. And then it will flash and you can put messages there and all that sort of stuff. And so it is really nice, because as soon as you don't have to start the timer. As soon as you open the next presentation, the timer starts. And so it knows all the timings for it. But I was also thinking of Slide Crew before when we were talking about speaker agreements. It's all built into that too. So as soon as someone goes to upload their presentation, if they haven't signed the agreement, they sign it. So that can happen before you get on site. And then if they do present themselves at speaker support and they haven't done it, then they sign it in speaker support. And so it's like before they give us their presentation, we get their signed agreement. And then they're also giving, they're opting in. I think this is always a funny one. It's one of the things I loved about the COVID times was that everything was recording permission, right? Like it was when we're in virtual world, there is no option to opt out of recording because it needs to be. Everyone's going to be, they need to watch it. Whereas now we still have people that are like, I don't want this recorded, which when you're recording sessions is particularly annoying because you've got to go and snip out a presentation from that large recording. So that's annoying.
We actually say to people that if they don't want to be recorded, that your presentation will have to move to a poster presentation.
I love how she's
sorry.
Love
if it's an abstract, if it's an invited speaker, no, because we're just saying like, I'm sorry, but we promote ourselves as a hybrid conference. That is fine. That is your right to say you don't want to be recorded, but you won't be able to be involved in our conference because we see a lot of benefits in I can't just put on the program, this one not accessible afterwards.
Well, I mean, you could, but you'd never hear the end of it.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah, no. So we usually get one every year. And that's,
they learn.
Yeah, it's fine. We get someone else to fill their spot, or they do a really lovely poster.
We've got it. Like, can we work together sometime, Lisa? This is just too exciting to hear about laser pointer hatred. to hear about not allowing people to opt out of recording. There was something else before. I was like, this is just great. This is all the stuff that we want.
It's just setting expectations. I like it.
That's good.
I want to hear more about this slide crew, but I'm mindful of what the time is. Can we, like, this looks cool.
Sarah,
I can tell you more about
we
it.
work for not-for-profits. So
it's not actually,
it's come down a lot in price. I think I looked at it 12 months ago and I feel like it's more achievable.
But like, does this mean that I don't need a speaker's prep to network to all of the rooms?
Well, let me tell you this. I can answer that by telling you this very short story. I demoed it to a venue, set them up, and they can go in and play with it. And they were loving it. And it's like, oh my God, we're going to roll this out for all of our events in-house. And I went, oh, that's kind of cool. Makes sense. And they, like most venues, struggle with resourcing and getting enough stuff. And so fast forward a month or two, Sarah, I think the event was just starting. And I just happened to check the test system, went, gee, that's a lot of data in there for a test. And they decided not only had they trained, and I hadn't done any training with them, like it was all done online. Not only they decided that they'll just do the event live with the platform, but they'd gone and worked out how to set up and configure the whole thing themselves. And what they say, typically they would have had a person in speaker support, one person in the main plenary, and then one or two people to go across the breakouts that they had. They ran the event with one person in the plenary and one floating the rest of the room, and that was it.
Wow.
They uploaded all the because it runs a little algorithm. Not only do you upload, but it runs an algorithm to say, do you have any videos? If the videos are right or wrong, they're missing the font. Is there audio on slide 26? And so it did all of that work. And so as the stuff was coming in early, they could analyze and plug any gaps that were missing there. And then it automatically sent it to the room, and they told each room the laptops. And so it just ran, and they put all the concurrent rooms in what they called kiosk mode. And so the speakers in the room just walked up to the screen and clicked on their name, and it just opened Keynote or PowerPoint or whatever they choose to run. And so that one little event, I think it was 3 rooms or 4 rooms, probably, and all the pricing's on their website. Go to check it out anyway. If you add up the amount of labor just in the show operator labor, I'm not talking about pre-event and setting it all up and checking it, and then the communications that have to be constantly managed. Well, it paid for itself, 3-4 times over, purely from the saving of it because of the resources. Now, that's not going to work for everyone, but I was pretty blown away because, of course, I was immediately going, oh my God, how could you go live without doing some basic training? They said it was super easy. It just made sense to us. So it can be quite cost effective, I guess, if you think about it in that context.
It'd be cost effective if the venue then doesn't make you add everything in.
Add the importing of
all
the
the
data.
speaker support stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, there's still a hardware element of it.
Otherwise, they're not for profit.
Yeah. But you're gonna be charged that hardware whether you use a platform or not, right? You're still hiring a speaker support system and crew to run it, so you're saving on labor. Yeah.
Yeah, and I think it's definitely I want to look at it more. I think especially when you're finding the troubles with the AV that you're sometimes getting at every different venue, that I think if you can streamline it and it's yours, it just will take but yeah, for me, it would just take one that worry of speakers prep.
Lisa, can you give this to your AV guy, because I also trust him, and get him to look at it and let us know?
Yes, I think Jared and I had a conversation about it in 2024, and I went, oh, no, too hard. But now I think just having speaker prep issues every year, yeah.
Sending wrong slides. I had that happen. Wrong presentations.
Yeah.
Yeah,
it's great for that. The thing is too, I think that mostly we're doing our events without USB sticks now. Mostly we're getting more and more of the people. Most people are uploading their presentations before they get there. Now they probably still come to speaker support and they do a little check and whatever. But even if they're like, oh, I want to send another one, when they click the link, they see their own little portal with their, 3 presentations or whatever. They can delete a previous one that they've uploaded, a previous version, and upload their new one. And that all comes through. And so then it's a traffic light system on our end as to whether it's green that it's been checked by us or someone. It's yellow that it's just been uploaded by the person, or it's red that we haven't got a file yet. So as far as that, all obviously syncing all over from EA just means that we always know what presentations we're missing, or it's just it makes it super simple.
And I think that's the selling point for me, was being able to have that transparency and see, instead of relying on the venue to say, oh, I haven't got, like, so many times this year, like I would go up and just check, how you going, and they were like, oh, we're missing this session and this presentation. Then I'd be following up speakers and they were like, oh,
when
yeah,
were
I
you going to tell me?
Ages ago, whereas I would just be able to see myself.
Totally. Yeah. And also send reminders to people, right? And so you can send emails and even text messages, right, to be able to say, hey, we haven't got your presentation and it starts in an hour. Can you upload it here? And some of the people they're sitting in their session and they do it, right? They're sitting in the plenary hall and they upload it, and now we've got it. So just the fact that it's online is a massive advantage, but then having it in every room, it's built out of the Netherlands, and so a lot of those European congresses are quite large. Sarah, are quite large, and they have lots of concurrence, workshop style. They don't have AV techs in each room, and so the ability to just have it on a screen, someone's presentation finishes, it ends, and now you've got the session holding slide. They just click their name and it opens their next presentation. It's really nice. So it has been worked through pretty well. But anyway, we are the distributor for it in APAC, and so we support people for it, but as well as run it on all of our events. So I'm not trying to sell it. I'm just giving you anecdotal evidence that it works really great for us. So.
Long session. I realized I just haven't done any work today. That's good.
All right. We
agreed.
It's like, it doesn't matter that we've got a few people on, we still managed to fill up 90 minutes. So there you go.
All right. Thanks, guys.
Gonna run.
Bye.
Yeah. See ya.
See ya.
Bye.